Greetings, entities and guardians. My name is HyperHimes, and you may have seen my short where it was basically talking about how these things right here, these are all basically AI imagery, where if you take a closer look at them, you could definitely see how, first of all, that's Moonlight's dress, the legs are long, and I basically talked about this in a short earlier. By earlier, I mean, you know, probably like a day ago. I don't plumbing know. No one likes it when anyone uses like any sort of generative image AI. Like, of course, there's just AI in general, like text things, you know, artificial intelligence for like, you know, computer bots. I think that's how that started. But then again, that's all done with like coding. This is just something that strips away all normal work for artists into just, you know, slop. That's what a lot of people call it, AI slop. So I had an interesting idea for a very unique video. What if I just went ahead and made a package kind of like these, except I don't use any lick of AI whatsoever? So what exactly are my expectations when trying to make this? Well, to keep it short, I want to see if I can make something that looks kind of like this. However, of course, I'm not going to use any sort of AI generative like material. All I'm going to use are just official resources that you can easily look up yourself. So literally, you could do this too if you wanted to. Now, the main program that I'm going to use for this is Vegas Pro, specifically Vegas Pro 17, because I've been using this for years. I've always thought about switching to DaVinci Resolve. I might at some point, but for right now, I still want to use this because it's a little bit more, you know, familiar in my brain. This is always the editing software that I prefer to use, and this is going to be what I like to call a workbench. Now, you can utilize a few websites to help you, which there's one big website that I'm actually going to help, and I promise you this ain't some sort of like sponsorship or anything. I'm using the Cookie Run Wiki because guess what? You can literally just get any sprites, or like a majority of them, like for example this Timekeeper one, that you can go ahead and just like press this, which gets you a straight download to the thing, and you can immediately download it for yourself. Then what I can do, after literally having this big image of it, I could just drag over this file, which basically has all the resources that I would need, because for reference, we're going to be trying to make, specifically if I pull it up over here, something like this. But you can obviously see that this definitely looks not good. I mean, look at the imagery. Come on, it's bad. But I can easily just get rid of that, and we could just tuck this over here. Bam. Now we of course have that, and of course we have a bunch of official Cookie Run resources. And I do want to point out two things. On the website, you can go ahead and use inspect element to grab things like look like this, which to be fair, I was thinking like, oh, well, this makes it easy. But when you take a close look at it, first of all, the rainbow cubes and the crystals, they don't match. They don't seem like they're the accurate size. Like those are so much, like these crystals are so much smaller than these rainbow cubes. And second of all, when you take a close look at the crystals, eesh, look at that. That doesn't look good. That just looks like a slushy gone wrong. You could even see some very awful stretch marks right here if you took a good look at it. Now, there's also this, which I think looks a little bit better, but let's be honest, I'm not going to take my chances. Especially, I was kind of more suspicious about, like, looking down here with some of the positions of how these cubes end up looking. And even then so, I'm still not totally convinced. Maybe this looks a little bit more legit and official, but to be safe, I'm instead going to use stuff that basically looks like this, which are literally just official things that you could legitimately snap from the actual like sprite sheet. This is all the way back in line Cookie Run, by the way. This is literally so easy to just grab and just slap down, and it's all just gonna be fine. In fact, for the rainbow cubes, I'm just gonna use the simple 6 pile of rainbow cubes that you can go ahead and just put down, and it'll all be easy. I'm also going ahead and moving to Cookie Run Comic Studio because this place has a lot of backgrounds. If you can't find a specific background within the Cookie Run Kingdom wiki, guess what? You can just find loads of backgrounds here. And if I want to try and find a specific one, how about we go to something that's like, you know, maybe there's the costume thing. Yeah, costume. I search around for a bit and then I find this beauty. This looks like a nice fresh background that comes legitimately from within the game, which I'm going to absolutely just go ahead and, you know, escape this mode. Bam. Boom, we got a background now, and it's literally that easy. Also, I found this green button. I wanted to see if I can get a more cartoony looking green button, but this looks like the most accurate thing that I could find that has anything to do with, like, you know, the button where it says like, oh, purchase this, like $16.99, something like that. But it's completely fine. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be basing it off of this thing, so that means I needed to say $15.99. So I have to base it off of this. So let's go ahead and get started by taking all of this stuff, even some of the things, if they're like not required, we'll still have them just in case. Just slide them all up in here. If you want, you can get rid of the things that you don't need. Like, I don't need this login thing. I was using that for reference. Don't need that. Don't need that. And I don't need the sprite sheet either. We already have everything that we need. I'm not even joking. This is all you need if you want to make a good package background in my eyes. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over to the sidebar right here. You can clearly see my mouse. And we're going to hit Control, Shift, and Q, which this makes it so that you can actually paste images inside of there. Like, for example, now you can see that in that sidebar. But we're going to close that by pressing Delete. And we're just going to make a bunch of these things. We're just going to make so many. So if you scroll down, there's a lot of things that you can go ahead and rectify here, and it makes it look very fresh. We can go ahead and place our image right there. We can go ahead and press this button, bam, and then we'll press, I think it's matte output source, so it stretches across the whole entire screen, or we can make it zoom in, just to make it look a little bit more refined. I'll just position it right there, and what else can we do? How about we just place Timekeeper right here, and guess what? Not only does this look amazing, but with a little bit of zooming in, with a little bit of perception, or like perspective, whatever you want to call it, put it right there. Look at that. That already looks a million times better than anything. Now, one thing I really want to focus on is layering, because I want to take a bunch of these rainbow cubes and just stack them up high, but I want Timekeeper to be up front, so I could just drag this, bam. But I also want to make sure that they're accurately sized, so what I need to do is I need to go ahead and just resize them so that they look like this somewhere in the background. And what I need to do is just start stacking like crazy. This will take a while. However, I'm doing this just for the sake that you can make these without AI. Even if it doesn't look the best, I mean, so far I feel like it looks a little bit better than what's already offered to you up front. So as you can see right here, we have all the rainbow cubes placed down, and while I don't think it's the best thing in the world, I still think it's very impressive just because of the fact that you didn't even have to use any sort of AI to make this. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and focus on placing these crystals, which I might have an idea as to how to do this. I think what I might do is I'm going to go ahead and just shrink this down, probably make it big just to make it eye-catching, but probably make it so that it's maybe on top of here. I mean, it kind of looks a little bit sloppy. Ooh, actually good idea. I could go ahead and try and put it behind the rainbow cubes and make them like popping out with the crystals with the same sort of shine, which I think that'll make it pop out a little bit better. Now, while they definitely don't look the best, I feel like they're a little bit eye-catching, especially if you want to coincide them with the actual rainbow cubes. So, what I do like is how you can actually kind of see them both there now. Even at worst, all I'd have to do is just scooch Timekeeper a little bit this way, so all I have to do is just maybe scoot, and a little bit up, and that way it's a little bit more focused on the other crystals that's hard to see, and you can still see all the awesome rainbow cubes that you can get. But there's another thing that I want to do as a little bit of flair. I'm going to add a few falling rainbow cubes to the background. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and add a rainbow cube right here. I'll make it a lot smaller, and then I'll just make it so that it looks like it's somewhat showering. I'm not going to add too many, but I do want to make it so that it just kind of showcases that this is definitely a cube-based package, because there are packages that are literally like based all around like, oh, you will get a lot of rainbow cubes and whatnot. Oh, you can get this, but you can also get the crystals at the background. But let's be honest, considering how it has the actual costume at the forefront of it, then of course it's going to be a lot more heavy focus on the actual rainbow cubes. I know they kind of get cut off, but I have to mess with some of the proportions a little bit. It is difficult, but you can always just do that to the aspect ratio just to make it just a little bit more neater, better, nicer. There's going to be a little bit of bugging right there, but it's not impossible to make this look pretty neat. So as you can clearly see, I'm basically done with all this, and I really do like how it looks, like genuinely, only just because, like, well, I've never done this before, so I gotta be honest, for my first try, it actually looks pretty smooth. But there's one thing that we also need to focus on, which is a lot more important than you think, and that's the captioning. You can actually see how some of this is like the last Supernova Rainbow Cube package, Legendary Costumes Super Rainbow Cube package, Legendary Costume Rainbow Cube Value package. All of these say like, oh, here's the package, here's what you're going to get, and bam. That's it. So what if we just add those ourselves? We're first going to go ahead and take this green button. We're going to go ahead and take this, resize, shrink it down like this. Then we'll go ahead and place it right about probably right here with a nice little button where you can actually like easily view everything. And we'll put this at a reasonable price. So I'm probably going to go with this one right here, where basically you can get 3,500 rainbow cubes and 1,600 crystals for the price of $15.99 or $16. But we'll go with $15.99 just for the sake of it. So I'm going to do something unique just to make the button pop a little bit more. I'm going to duplicate it. Go to chroma here. We do stuff for text background glow, which is set to this, which makes it get a little bit of a glow. We're going to go down, go to gradient map, then we're just going to find black text color. Put that there and set all of this, and it gives it a nice black outline, a nice decent thick black outline. And now we can go ahead and go to the text, which I'm going to use this text, which should be basically Cookie Run bold, but I'm going to make sure I swap this to right, which I used to do for my common questions of the day. Should I make it normal, regular? I think we'll just make it regular. I don't exactly know what font Cookie Run would use for these stuff, but just in case, we're going to go with $15.99, and we'll see what fits. We could try and do this. Maybe that works. What I'll just go ahead ahead is now I can go ahead and move this right down here, make sure it fits nice and neatly. It does look a bit smaller on the website, so what I could do is I could just go ahead and go back. I could just shrink this down just a tiny bit. I think that's nice. At least it's probably the best that we're gonna get. Now we're gonna go ahead and take the same text. We're gonna say create a new copy of the source media. We're gonna go ahead and double click to centralize this, and we're just gonna name it like something that it's called on the other side. Like for example, if I were to pull up this, it says legendary costume Rainbow Cube value package. So why don't we just go ahead and change it to that real quick. Now we'll just adjust the positioning of this, probably making it so that it's somewhere near the top right, I would say. Make it a little bit smaller and right there, just so you can still see all the Rainbow Cubes in the back of it while it's not obscuring too many things. Probably make it a little bit more large, just so you can read easier what it says, and bam. I added a bonus little sprite, which you can get straight from the wiki, being just a crystal, because we're going to go ahead and place one crystal and one Rainbow Cube just to tell you, hey, guess what? These are the items that you are specifically getting. So we'll go ahead and take the actual Rainbow Cube, shrink this down like so. We'll go ahead and place it probably, I would say, right about here. I think that's a decent length. Put it right about here. And for the same thing as the crystal, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We'll adjust it right there, and we're going to see if we can make it like the exact same size, if that makes sense. So shrink this down just a tiny bit. I think that looks about as good as we're going to get it. Probably like right about there. I think that's a little bit better, I think. Sure, let's go with this. Now, just like this page, we need to go ahead and tell you how much you're getting. So for the Rainbow Cubes here, it's X 3.5k, meaning that you get the amount of 3,500 crystals. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be using the special tactic of taking what we already use and just reusing it. Let's do the same exact amount. So X 3.5k, and then we'll go ahead, put them right about here. That looks really proper and neat. We'll go ahead and copy this, paste this once again, and I think the actual page said 1,600 crystals. I think, yeah, 1.6k. Just change this to a 6, change this to a 1. The last thing that we realistically need to do is just move it along right here. And you never believe it, we basically just made an actual package straight from scratch. This is all you need to do. You don't need to do any sort of like AI or anything like that. Just make a package that looks like this, and that's literally it. If you want to go ahead and give it a little bit more flair, like let's say, oh, well, the Rainbow Cubes are kind of mixed in with the crystal and Rainbow Cubes in the back. What we can do is we'll just go ahead and copy these, go here and here, chroma here, text on that, do that. It gives them a little faint glow. Okay, well, how about white? And wouldn't you look at that? Only using 30 minutes of my time, not having to waste my time or energy or whatever, or resources just to use AI. I legitimately made my own Cookie Run Kingdom package straight from scratch. And if you want to go ahead and save this, all you have to do is just go ahead and press the save button right here, or you can go ahead and like copy this, probably paste it into like, you know, MS Paint or something like that, and then save it like it is. I'll just go ahead and save it right here. Now it should be available to look in your files, and you would not believe that. Right here, load it on up, bam. This is my very own Cookie Run Kingdom little thing that I made, a little package. I gotta be honest, for how it looks at face value, it looks, I'm sorry, but look at this. If we were to just pull this right here, we'll pull this up once again. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it looks night and day. It looks so night and day, especially if you want to like use AI for one imagery. Now, I know for a fact, people are gonna say, well, it doesn't look the best. I mean, you literally use like pre-existing material, but like, here's the thing. They had access to this pre-existing material, and they chose to use AI. Why the pleb would you want to use AI when you have all of this already pre-available that you can make look flashy yourself just with certain effects? It's not that hard to actually try and make something look that special when you already have the pre-existing assets that you always have. I find it ridiculous that they went ahead and used AI, but this goes to show, if Cookie Run ever wants to go ahead and make these cool package images, you don't have to use AI. Never use AI. Not only does it lack in any sort of creativity, any sort of originality, but it basically makes people lose their jobs, especially hardworking artists that you went ahead and gave these jobs to, but you had to just do a ton of layoffs for. I don't know if that's actually legit or not, but from what I heard, it's probably legit, so that's just from my opinion. But with that being said, let this be a lesson that whatever AI can do, you can do way better. It may take a lot of more time, a lot more dedication, but that's because with everything that you make, it requires soul. And one thing that I can tell you that AI does not have is soul. It's machinery, it's cogs, it's all just tech stuff that has no input between us and them, because guess what? You tell them to try and make an image, then they're just gonna go ahead and do it in a few seconds one-to-one. And there obviously will be a lot of errors in it. But when you tell us to do something, you know, the humans, human to human, one-to-one, we're gonna go ahead and try and work on it as hard as we can. A lot of efficiency will be done to it, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And even if there's like some errors inside of it, we'll go ahead and send it to you. And this isn't even me trying to advertise being like an artist or something like that. This is just me being honest. Usually people will send you the art of how it looks so far, and then guess what? You could send feedback. Then they could change what they made or make it better based on how you react to it. But this goes to show that you don't need AI to be an amazing person just to make art or even promotional material. You just need to have creativity flowing into your brain just to make it work. But I go ahead and end the video right here. If you want to go ahead and send this to Devsisters, then why not? Because this basically proves that you can make anything happen without the use of AI. But, you know, go ahead and like a video, maybe share it around if you want to go ahead and, you know, quit AI. You know, AI sucks. But, you know, subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all that stuff. Also, all my merch stuff in the description, you know, the pleb market, you can buy some merch there. You can become a member for just $1 a month by becoming a pleb. And also, you can't forget about the fact that all of my social medias are in my card website down below. And above all else, I'll see you entities and guardians in the next video. Hail the Hypenese.